This is the PowerShell Podcast, the bar sessions. Make mine a double. The PowerShell Podcast is a PDQ production, making device management simple, secure, and pretty damn quick. And now, here's your host, Andrew Pla.
Welcome to another episode of the PowerShell Podcast, Bar Sessions, PowerShell Conference Europe, Malmö, Sweden, 2025. And I had to get it started off right. You know, we're standing outside in the rain because inside is the Tuesday night party. We're absolutely getting soaked right now. I have to hold my phone upside down when we record. But I'm joined by Veenstra. PowerShellIsFun. What's your website? Plug it.
PowerShellIsFun.com.
Boom. PowerShellIsFun. So we're at the Tuesday night party here at PowerShell Conference Europe. Standing on the side of the street. I don't know if you can hear the cars.
Typical Dutch weather.
In the rain, doing what we have to do.
Yeah.
That's that consistency. We're trying to keep delivering, right? But so far, we're Tuesday, 2 days in, 2 days more to go. What's been your favorite session? You can only choose one. No, don't play the safe game. Hot takes. What's your favorite session so far?
I really like Bruce Poyet's session.
On types?
On types because, well, he's from the PowerShell team. He delivered greatly. He ran out of time, but yeah.
That was a great talk. I was in that one as well. He's just one of those people where it's like, yes, you can be technical and know PowerShell, but then there's a kind of a different level where he is insanely technical and is able to speak to these complex topics in a way that makes sense because he has such a wide amount of knowledge about all these different languages.
The experience, he actually knows it by heart. Yeah.
Yes. Anything you're looking forward to tomorrow and Thursday?
I'm not sure. There are so many good quality sessions, so it's really hard to pick them. But the community demos would be great.
Oh yeah, when is that? Is that Wednesday?
I think it's Wednesday at the end of the day.
Yes, I think it is the end of the day.
And the smaller one, the Pashakushka, I don't even know. Pashakushka.
Something like that.
Yeah.
20 slides, 20 seconds each. I'm very curious.
Yeah, fast-paced.
I know, Matthias Jessen at IIS Reset Me is his handle. He's been on the podcast before. He is going to be doing a session, and he told me he spent like over 10 hours preparing.
For a short session, yeah.
Yes, for, I don't know how long, what's 20 times 20? 4-minute session?
Yeah.
Wait, that's 400 seconds. I don't know. Hey, listen, these are the bar sessions, not the math sessions. Worry not, it is what it is. But I'm very curious to see that because that is a format I've never seen. I've seen kind of community demos, lightning demos, but never 20 slides, 20 seconds.
I saw it last year at Antwerp, at PSConfEU. It's good. It's digestible. It's fast. Just what you need.
Good.
Yep.
Yeah, sometimes that's the best because you can learn about different topics without having to dive deep for like 45 minutes kind of thing. Yep. And if it's relevant to you, you look it up on your own, or if it's not relevant to you, hey, that's cool, you know? Or you're supporting someone, maybe it's their first time ever speaking, which is really cool to see. And I think that PSConfEU has a big culture of kind of building people up. I think they have a mentorship program for the speakers. I think Jakob of Pester Notoriety has been helping people who are speakers. So all kinds of cool stuff there. And tomorrow night, I met you. Well, we were in a certain room. Yeah. There was no bath, but it might be called the bathroom. And as we were washing our hands, as
you do.
Yes, exactly. We talked about tomorrow night. I'm hosting PowerShell Wednesday. If you didn't know, every single Wednesday, we talk about consistency. Every single Wednesday, I hope a PowerShell meetup at 2 p.m. Eastern, which just so happens to be 8 p.m. where we are now in Sweden. And I sweet-talked you into presenting a lightning demo for us tomorrow night, which will be available on YouTube. I might have a link in the show notes. I might not. Who knows what the future holds? But yeah, tomorrow night, you're going to be giving a lightning demo as of 10 minutes ago. And I roped you into this as well. Gosh, I feel like a salesman. But do you know what you're going to give a lightning demo on?
Yeah, I think it's going to be about the WinGet module because I really like it.
Yeah. It's been helpful for you?
Yeah.
What's your day job?
IT consultant, giving companies advice on what they should do next.
Yes.
Yeah.
I've found a very large amount of consultants at this conference. Is that like a European thing? There's a lot more consultants here than maybe in other places?
Yeah, either you're a sysadmin working at one company or a consultant working for multiple companies, like an MSP thing, I guess. Yep.
Oh, okay. So I've also met people who call themselves an MSP, but to me, what's the difference between a consultant and an MSP?
As a consultant, you help a company with a one-time running project. And if you're an MSP, it's a longer duration, a longer relationship.
Yes. Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, I met Lena, who's been coming here for a while, big time MSP in Germany, learned a lot about that kind of approach to things, M365 and all that. But let's go back to your first year. When was your first year at PSConfEU?
Last year.
Last year was your
last
first?
year, yeah, that was my first one. Missed the Prague one and all the other ones in Vienna. And yeah.
Okay, interesting. So you got into the PowerShell community before PSConfEU, because a lot of people, that's kind of
a year before, I guess. Maybe
wow.
1.5.
So you're new to this? I just figured
I'm a
you would
newbie,
be like 10 years into it. Wow, because you're pretty heavily involved with things.
Yep.
What inspired you to get started with PowerShell? Just
automation, being more efficient,
Yeah.
listening to you, of course, obviously.
Really?
no,
Okay, I was like, what? That would be cool. So interesting. So wow, you're quite new and have made quite a name for yourself.
Yep.
You've been in IT for a while though?
Since I was 17 and a half.
Okay, so
And
a few years.
I'm 47 now, man.
So
Come on.
23?
Yeah.
Whoa, more than 23 years. Quite a while.
Yeah, almost 30, I guess.
Wow. Has PowerShell made work more fun? I guess your name is PowerShell Fun.
Yeah.
So it's made it
it's
more
more fun than batch scripting or doing VBS. No. Yeah.
Oh yeah. I can totally understand that. Now going forward in the next year, do you have any goals? I guess get renewed as an MVP. I'm in that
in
same
a few
boat.
weeks. Yeah. Yeah.
Hopefully we make it. I feel like you're a shoo-in because again, you do so much. You
Yeah.
know, really, if you
It
search
should
for
not be a
PowerShell
problem,
blogs, yeah,
I guess.
I am hoping. Yeah, you're quite active. What's your most active social media if people want to follow you?
I think it's still now LinkedIn. I
Yeah.
think LinkedIn is the best. Blue Sky and X, but X, yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
So Blue Sky and LinkedIn. Yeah.
I think I've seen a lot of good stuff on LinkedIn from you. I think on Blue Sky it works well if you're following the right people or looking in the right places.
Yep.
And I think maybe over time more people will join. But yeah, it's been a pleasure getting to chat with you. And thank you everybody out there for listening. And if people want to find you on the internet, you said PowerShellIsFun.com. What's your name? Harm Veenstra?
Yeah, that's my handle on all social media.
Yes.
Like everywhere. Yeah.
And
Easy to find.
It's been a great time hanging out with you this week, getting to know you more. Last night we went to play pool, billiards, I don't know what they call
Darts,
it, snooker,
everything, yeah.
We played it all.
Yeah.
And so we roll into we walked maybe like 15 minutes away from the hotel and we go to this place, Christian Ritter. I might have him on later. He convinces me, hey, you're going to come play pool with us. I say, okay, I haven't played pool in like 5 years. Let's do it. And we go there and I'm hungry, right?
Yep.
And so we get the food there and, you know, it's a bar. I don't have high expectations. But oh my gosh,
They
I
delivered.
had Swedish
Yeah.
meatballs.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm
It's
a
not the
Swedish
IKEA
person.
ones, but these are the good ones.
Oh my
Yeah.
gosh, it was good. If we didn't have a party tonight, I would 1,000,000% go back. And I think tomorrow night after PowerShell Wednesday, we just might go play some billiards or pool. Wait, what am I supposed to call it again? Pool?
Pool.
Yeah, just pool.
Pool.
That's
Yeah.
what I call it at home. But billiards sounds, you know,
Yeah.
some elegance to it. Well, awesome. Thank you so much, Harm. And thank you everybody out there for listening. More bar sessions coming. And yeah, we're absolutely getting rained on right now. So
We should go inside.
we should. Let's take a photo while we're nice and moist. Cheers, everybody.
The Bar Sessions. Can I buy you a drink?
Welcome to another bar session. I'm joined by recent friend of mine this week, Constantin Hager. Did I say it right?
Yeah, definitely.
Perfect.
Yes.
Welcome to the PowerShell Podcast. Is this your first podcast you've ever done?
Yeah, definitely.
Heck yes,
Yeah,
man.
it's my first podcast. Yeah.
And you've heard the PowerShell Podcast before?
Yes, I've listened to it before. I also saw it on YouTube.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So the first episode I think was with Fred Wyman.
Yes.
What I watched, and then tune in every time when I have time. Yeah.
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 Fred's a legend.
Yeah, Fred's definitely
He's
a
in
legend.
his element this week. I'm hoping to get him on a bar session as well.
Nice.
Honestly, there's more people that I want to interview than there is time for.
Oh, nice.
You know?
Yeah.
There's so many great legends here, to be honest. And
Yeah.
seeing Fred grow over the past few years and seeing how helpful his projects are. I remember we were sitting
And
down at
also
dinner.
how he helped you grow.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
That's really nice. Yeah.
And he's still doing it.
Yeah. Oh, nice. Okay.
Yes. There was someone who I've been mentoring who's kind of been coming up, and they messaged or ran across Fred somewhere, and Fred offered to help them as well. So he's still, he's at the top of the game at Microsoft, consulting, security stuff, helping customers, big customers. But he's also still making time for the community, maintaining his projects, and spending one-on-one time with people.
Yeah, and I also use his tools in my daily work. PS Framework, config module,
Yes.
what is inside of PS Framework, and the logging module,
Yes.
for example, PS module development, what he brought out of.
So you're- You're Fred's brainchild. You're using all of his tools, and he has a lot of them.
Yeah, and I also had him on my user group which I had in Germany. So he was on 3 or 4 times to brag about his toys, like he says.
Yes, he likes that. So tell us about your user group.
Okay, so my user group is called PowerShell User Group Inn-Salzach. So we are based in Germany, in Bavaria, in the south of Bavaria. So it's near Austria where I live. We are 100% online. So English-speaking people are also welcome.
Yeah.
Because I think we are nearly 100% English user group now. Because when someone is attending who speaks English, we don't do it in German. So that would be impolite. So we had people on like Fred. For example, we had Demetrius Nailan on, so the PM for Winget.
Winget, yeah.
We had Rob Sewell on, so many rock stars, and also many first-time speakers. So in the next month, we will have a first-time speaker on who will talk about one of his modules, and that will be the 2 gigs where he talks about 2 of his toys.
Wow.
So I will give speakers also chances who are not so famous, but that's I think a really good deal for they starting their speaking career. So
absolutely, yeah, it's nice to have the big names who have kind of figured it out, but it's also you have to think about the future and giving people that opportunity, and they can still provide their perspective, which is very helpful.
Yeah,
like it's great to hear from the people who maybe have just figured something out.
Yes,
not that they have every answer, like someone like Fred, where he kind of does have every answer.
Yeah. I just had Sam Erdy on, who is now an MVP.
I know Sam Erdy.
Yeah, and he was introducing his PS pre-work module, I think it was.
Oh yes.
I
think it's like pre-workout.
Yeah, it's a PS pre-workout. Yeah. Where you get the chance to to call out a single commandlet to make your environment fit for PowerShell development. So installing Git, configuring Git, doing all my Posh installations, and so on and so forth. So we did a little bit of digging into the code, and it just gave him tips and so on. So
nice,
really cool stuff. And I think when I ask my attendees how the session is, I got really good feedback on it. So
good. Yeah, I like Sam. Sam's cool. He's part of the locksmith trio, where he has the contributes to that, and he's pretty active in the PDQ Discord and the PowerShell scripting channel. So I've gotten to see him kind of grow this year.
Yes, he's now a maintainer of Mesta.
Oh, he is Meister,
He's one of the contributors for the current Mesta release. He added the Excel functionality for exporting the tests.
Cool.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah,
just went out today, I think. Yeah.
A friend of mine, Clayton Tiger, who's a listener of the podcast, I met him. Nice. They actually work together now. And they both do Entra stuff and Meister and all that. So it's a kind of cool story to see them kind of come together.
Yeah, nice.
What was your favorite session so far? You got to pick one. Don't play the game. I like all these. What's your favorite?
My favorite session so far, because I'm a bit biased, I like Winget. So I was at Demetrius' session of the new features they brought out in Winget. So the history aspect and what will be new, especially the thing with Winget configure, so that they're doing DSD v3 work and so on. So that's very good work what they did there, or what they will do, or what they do there. And let's see what they come up with. And I talked to Demetrius a lot about the thing that they plan, or what will be implemented and what will be the journey. So it's and I think he will be on this year with another Winget stuff. So in my user group. So keep an eye on this. Yeah,
nice.
Yeah.
Shout out to Demetrius. I might have to get him on as well. All right, let's look back. When did you get into PowerShell? Long time ago. Right?
I think I started, so PowerShell came out in 2006. So I think I started with V3.
Okay.
With PowerShell V3. Did my first baby steps and walked in heavily on V4 when it was Windows 8.1 Server 2012 R2.
Okay.
I had a project where I installed a whole server environment. So I configured a server with DNS, DHCP, did some AD stuff and so on. It was a big automotive company where we had to pull out 800 servers mass rollout.
Wow.
So I was responsible for the module to create for doing the whole bringing out. And since it evolved, then I also had a bit of mentoring, and now I mentor myself. I deliver workshops. I have the user group. I do at my company where I work. We're an MSP in Germany. I have an internal virtual team where I define standards for PowerShell. So I'm very active in the community also. Yeah.
Oh man, well, it's a bummer we're having to do a bar session. We might need to do a full session in the future, because
definitely
I'd love to share your story with others.
Yeah, definitely.
Looking back, when you got in PowerShell, were you coding before PowerShell, or was PowerShell kind of your first?
I started a bit. So my father was in IT before me, so he's a DBA guy. Okay. He's not working anymore, so he is he's a bit older now. So I got involved with his work a bit, and I started with, I think, basic, but only printf hello world like this.
Yeah.
And I was always interested into gaming, building computers and so on.
Yes, what games?
But I started programming seriously when I got my apprenticeship.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
So you mentioned gaming. What games did you play?
NO 1800 at the moment. So I'm still waiting for the new release, which comes out NO 107 in November this year.
Is that like a simulator kind of game?
It's that is a building simulator.
Yeah. Cool.
Yeah. So
kind of like Civilization.
No, Civilization not. So it is like you have a boat. You have to conquer an island, and you have to build a colony. So you have to check that the people are healthy, that they have that they have all their supply chains and so on, and then you can grow into different regions and make a lot of money and so on. So that's one kind, and the other kind is do some Diablo also.
Yeah.
So
cool.
what's it called? RPG, I think, role-playing game and so on. I did play Command & Conquer.
Nice.
3 and so on. So that's what took me into gaming. So I heavily play NO at the moment because I don't have time anymore because I have so many side projects and user group planning and so on. So yeah.
Awesome. Yeah. It's fun to hear people who have kind of a gaming background, and I think it's cool how you can take the interest that you have to pour into a game or whatever hobby it is, really, and you can apply that to PowerShell, and you can learn things.
Yes. So I was when I had my first day at my apprenticeship, one of my teachers said, "Okay, it's good that you're gaming, but you're not knowing that you are how good are you going to be at programming or at doing a infra job or so, because that's not the same." That is the thing that you have to get when you are a kid.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's a similar mindset of like really focusing on something. But hey, thank you for joining me on the PowerShell Podcast. Bar sessions, more to come.
Thank you. It has been a pleasure. Thank you for having me on.
And we're friends now. I think we connected on LinkedIn, so we'll be in touch. Anything I can ever do for you, please reach out.
Yeah.
And we'll have to have a longer chat in the future.
Yeah. Thank you very much.
All right. Thank you.
It's the bar sessions. So, do you come here often?
We are back with another PowerShell Conference Europe 2025 Malmö, Sweden bar session with Thomas Hedin. Is that how you say it?
Yeah.
Welcome. I was just walking by looking for people to do a podcast with you. He said, "Andrew." I said, "Huh?" And we had a little chat. Turns out you listened to the podcast. And here we are a couple minutes later recording. Is this your first podcast? Have you done some before?
No, it's my first podcast.
Nice.
Also my first PowerShell conference.
Really? Oh.
Yeah, so without, of course, if you exclude all the watching on YouTube.
Yes. Yeah. Which fortunately, a lot of the sessions are available online afterwards. So highly recommend, if you can't make it to a conference, check those out. But you mentioned Discord, so you're a little active on the PowerShell Discord?
Yeah, back and forth. So my handle is Talarion. So usually interacting with back and forth, as I said, and try to be involved as much as possible when I have time. And then we have the yearly Advent of Code, right?
Yes, AOC, Advent of Code.
Yeah,
yes.
exactly. So that's when some of us try to do stuff.
Yeah.
Right.
And we were walking by and you said, hey, where's WEC? Or if you are on the PowerShell Discord, WEQ is his handle. Very kind of renowned person in the community. He was telling me he's been in the PowerShell community, like the Discord, I think before it was IRC or something else, for almost 20 years, which is wild.
Yeah, that's wild. Yeah.
I told him, I said, and he's not interested in doing a podcast, so I want to give him some love here. But I told him, wow, you've been in PowerShell longer than I've been alive. I'm 19. And he said, wow, really? I'm old. I'm not 19, unfortunately.
No. Oh, but you look 19. So
well, we'll
okay.
take it sometimes in the right light, you know, the perfect light. But so you've listened to the podcast before, you've listened to the bar sessions, and here we are doing bar sessions in Europe. And what I found is Europeans, they definitely enjoy a bar. I think it's an open bar tonight, so a lot of beers are flowing. But where are you from?
Yeah, so I'm from the southern part of Sweden, in the let's say in the forest.
Yes.
Kind of area. It's really a forest. So so you can't imagine, like, it's a rural area where you have like 10,000 inhabitants.
Wow.
Yeah. So I moved down here to Skåne, where we are now, and so I live in Helsingborg. At the moment, so we are at 100k inhabitants. So it's a bit more, but yeah.
And what type of work do you do? Are you a consultant by chance?
Yeah.
You are? Yes.
Yeah.
Good guess.
Hard guess.
It's a safe guess, but it's a good guess.
Yeah.
What type of work? Azure, Entra, what kind of stuff are you doing?
So now it's mainly or mostly both Entra, Active Directory,
on-prem.
yeah. And also, I mean, Azure is a part of the job as well, right?
Yeah.
So, depending on the customer, right? So I'm working with the developers, like bridging the ops with the dev, like you know, DevOps, right?
Yes.
So, trying to explain to them why we do stuff that we do, and to find the difficulties that they have in where,
awesome.
they have issues.
So this is how long have you been in PowerShell? This is your first PowerShell conference, but you've been in the community for a while?
Yeah, 2017.
Oh, wow, okay.
So quite basic then, but got more interested, and like it evolved like everything else.
When you got first into PowerShell, what was the most challenging part?
I think getting back to programming, actually, because it was all the concepts about, I mean, I usually I could read a code, if it's VB or whatever, to figure out what it does, but to be able to write code again, that was a hard part, and figuring out what you need to do. When that clicked, it went quite, it was a lot easier.
I bet.
To go forward. So.
And now you're kind of in a spot, you've been writing it for a while. It's kind of, for me, it feels like magic. When you know what you're going to write, you have the ability to troubleshoot things, you can just kind of go.
Yeah.
You're in that spot where you're just enjoying it.
Exactly. And, you know, CrowdStrike last year.
I heard about that.
Yeah, you heard about that. So that was a part where, like, even though it was mainly you had panic, like, right? Everything went down.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. So you did a lot of ad hoc stuff, but the knowledge that you got over the years made it, okay, maybe I can figure this out, and we could, like, boot everything up again.
Yeah.
So that was a lot of help to be able to do what you have learned and trained for and everything. So
apply it to real life in kind of like the best way possible, but also the worst way possible.
Yeah.
Nobody wants to respond to something like that.
Yeah, you have some kind of pressure on you.
Yeah, just a little bit. The stress in IT can be a lot. For some, for sure, especially when outages or a big event like CrowdStrike.
Yeah.
But so how did you get here? Was it fly or?
No, I had the convenience of just be able to drive here.
Yeah. How long of a drive was it?
35 minutes.
Holy crap, that's nothing.
No. So it's quite near.
Yeah. Have you been to Malmö before?
Yeah, of course.
Oh,
we have
it's
an office here, so.
Oh, nice. So you visit the city. Is there anything that you recommend I do before I leave Malmö?
I would say I'm the worst person to ask that.
You do the same thing every time?
Yeah, basically. I mainly go to the office. Of course, you have something called Mølletorget, where there's a lot of more alternative, like beer bars and etc.
Yeah.
So that's quite nice. Then you, of course you have our large tower, turning torso, stuff. But it's also nice in here. So
Yeah, no, I'm loving the city. It's my first time in Sweden ever, so I'm kind of taken away. And just the people here have been so lovely. And it's very interesting to me to see, for everyone, English is a second language, or pretty much everyone, not me, but most people here, English is a second language, and quite fluent. I mean, what's your first language?
It's Swedish.
Swedish?
Yeah.
Yeah, so you speak English quite well.
Yeah, thanks.
But everyone here does too. Like, I'll go to the bar and they'll be ready to speak English with you.
Yeah,
which is
I mean,
awesome.
we were switching quite eagerly, like to be able to talk. And also to evolve our own skills, right?
Yes.
Because you need to talk it to practice.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think also with so many countries in Europe, different languages, it helps to have the ability to kind of switch between them.
Yeah.
But,
I mean, it's also our glue, right?
Yes, yes.
To be able to talk to everyone, even in the Nordics. I mean, even if we have Denmark right beside us.
Yes.
Yeah. Usually, it is. Can we please talk English? Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because it's easier. Yeah.
Yes. Now, you mentioned you listen to the PowerShell podcast. How long have you been listening for? A long bit?
Yeah, since the beginning, basically.
Gosh.
Yeah.
How did you hear about it? I'm curious. Do you remember? It's been a while now.
I can't really remember exactly where I heard it, but I think it was maybe the Discord.
Yeah.
Or maybe that I saw something on the internet that's like, here it is.
Yes. Several years later.
Yeah, exactly. And we have Spotify, right?
Yes.
Yeah, Swedish company, right?
So, that's right. I didn't know they were Swedish. They're very cool.
So that's been my main platform to listen to it.
Cool.
Of course.
Well, feel free, if you're listening out there, or you, right in front of me, feel free to leave a 5-star review, a nice little comment if it's helped you or anything. Yeah. That does help more people find it, because I don't get anything directly when people do that, but it does make it easier for other people to find. And the reason I do it is to kind of boost PowerShell, and so the more people we can get into PowerShell feeling confident, guiding them in the right way, the better we're all going to be. Do you drive to work, or where do you listen?
Both when I drive, maybe if I kind of relax sometime, like you take a walk, something just to listen, or if it's a really interesting topic, you kind of force yourself to listen to it.
Yeah, take it in.
Yeah.
Yeah, someone told me recently they were having trouble sleeping, so they played it. So thank you. I'm glad you're listening.
Yeah. Great topic.
I should do that tonight. Whenever I'm ready after we're done here, listen to myself a little bit and see if I can't fall asleep. Do you have a favorite episode? Can I predict what you're going to say?
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, sure.
I'm going to guess Fred or Justin Grody.
Yeah, I think both of them. But as we talked about later, also I am Jacobi.
Oh yes, I am Jacobi. Yes.
Yeah. So, but I mean, Fred and Justin are very interesting to listen into. Because there's a lot of things that you pick up.
Yep.
And these are, because they are very tech knowledgeable.
Yes.
And etc. And we really want to hear what they say.
For sure. Yeah, they can just go so deep so quick. It's pretty impressive.
Yeah.
I've seen Fred in his element this week. I was sitting a couple seats down from him at dinner, and he's just talking about modules and if you're going to publish it and this and that, and just going to town, having a good time. And people are eating it up because if you haven't run into these problems, guess what Fred has?
Yeah.
At pretty much the highest skill level. Yeah.
So it also gives you a shortcut to what you're doing, right?
Absolutely.
So just by listening to them. Okay. Oh, all right. Yeah.
Yeah. And his modules are actually incredibly helpful.
Yeah.
I've used them at work several times, but because basically he created a tool set to address problems he ran into and things he felt were lacking or saw were lacking with customers, and then was fortunate enough to kind of, I guess, work things out to where he could do his open source stuff and do it for kind of also addressing the customers he's working with. So it's a good fit there.
Yeah, it's a good thing that he shares what he does. Right?
Yes.
So, yeah.
And I just want to say thank you so much for reaching. You said, hey, as I walked by, I was like, how the hell do you know my name? Because it's awesome that people listen, but I love hearing the different stories and what type of person is listening. So if you're out there, please reach out. I've had a really long success story. If someone reaches out, we're friends. And I like friends. Yeah. Who doesn't like, we're friends now.
Yeah, sure.
We got to connect on LinkedIn. And this episode will go out, I don't know when, but sometime. And now you're on the bar sessions. We were just talking about, you heard him before. And hopefully the streets of Malmö aren't too loud in the background.
Yeah, exactly.
And we're out here in the rain.
Yeah.
Let it know.
Typical Swedish summer, right?
Yes, yes. It was beautiful on Saturday, though. On Saturday and Sunday when I was here, amazing weather. Oh, my goodness.
So you missed out Swedish midsummer?
No, I was there. Sunday or Saturday night was midsummer, right?
Friday.
Friday was? Oh, okay. Yeah, because everything was closed. Well, not everything, but a lot of things were kind of closed Saturday, and the bars closed early and that kind of thing.
Exactly, because then you dance around the midsummer pole and everything.
Yes, I did miss that. I did not dance around any poles. Okay, I should think about the phrasing of that one. But what's your go-to favorite food in Sweden?
Favorite food? I would say something that really stuck with us Swedes are basically kebab.
Oh, kebab, yeah.
Yeah.
I had, this was in Copenhagen, but 7-Elevens are everywhere here. But they have like called chicken sticks, which it's not quite a full-on kebab, but it's like a stick with chicken on it.
Yeah, like a, what you call it, grillspett.
Yeah.
Maybe, yeah.
Yes. Well, I want to say thank you for joining me. If people want to connect with you, are you on LinkedIn?
Sure, I'm on LinkedIn. Thomas Hedin.
Thomas Hedin, Tomashedin. Simple.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, I appreciate you. I'll have to connect with you.
Yeah.
And if you're out there, connect with them. Thank you for joining me, man. I appreciate that.
Yeah, thank you. Nice for having me.
Yes, we'll be friends now.
Yeah.
The Bar Sessions. Andrew, you're just awesome, man.
Another PowerShell Summit Bar Session, PSConfEU 2025, Malmö, Sweden. We're back at it again. James Ruskin, how are you doing, man?
I'm good. I'm having a good day.
I think we last talked in Seattle or Redmond, I don't know what, in Washington. Yeah, Bellevue,
sure.
Washington, that was it, for PowerShell Summit. And now we're here in Sweden together.
I would say beautiful sunny Sweden, but I've been rained on more than I have in most of my life.
And we are getting drizzled on. We just sat in some wet chairs outside because it's a little loud inside. So we're going to stand up and look, we're going to be wet. I'm wearing gray pants, so the water will absolutely show, and that's okay. We're embracing it. We're in the moment,
Absolutely.
So how's your week been so far?
Delightful. Honestly, such a nice crowd. I love PSConfEU. I have been stressing about small talks, but that's how I do. It's how I am, and I can't really change that, despite trying.
Yes.
But everything's been lovely, other than that. Sorry.
Good. Yeah, it's great to talk with you because we actually did a session together at PowerShell Summit. And there were some, I don't think we've talked about it on the podcast together since then. We've been meaning to have a podcast, so I'm glad we could sit down together.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was an interesting session because our slides absolutely died.
Yes, they did. Yes.
Oh my gosh, if it can go wrong, it will. And it certainly did. But I was very pleased with how we handled it in the moment.
Yeah, we continued chatting. I will admit, I'm apologetic for the level of my responses. But,
I mean, you were trying to fix the tech, and I was like, the screen is absolutely pixelated in the craziest way ever.
It was really well timed. Perfectly timed for the aesthetics section. What more can you say?
Do you remember before I was like recording that video, like the little, hypey social media thing?
Yep.
We've put in the work. Whatever's going to happen is going to happen.
Absolutely.
And life and IT and presentations, you just got to roll with it. And guess what? We survived.
We did.
And I haven't seen anyone else have those problems while we've been here at PSConfEU, but sometimes that'll happen, and you just got to keep rolling with the punches.
Yeah, and it's not offensive to anybody. Nobody should have a bad day because that happened to them. It's just what happens.
It is, and whenever you're able to deal with some of that and you survive, right? We didn't die.
Heck yeah.
You show other people that, hey, things don't have to go perfectly for you to be okay at the end of it. We absolutely had to live that ourselves. I say that kind of thing on the podcast a lot, and there's not always a chance to practice it, but we certainly had a chance to practice it at that time. But here we are, fast forward a couple months, in Malmö, Sweden. Have you been attending, I know you're with Chocolatey, who's a sponsor.
Yep.
Have you been attending sessions or kind of staying at the booth or a little bit of both?
I've been attending some sessions. I've really enjoyed some of them. I regret missing some.
Yes.
There's just so many. I think today there were 6, 7 slots, and I had maybe 10 sessions marked out that I wanted to see. It's hard to choose. It's always hard.
It is. There was one at 5 p.m. today where Sean Laurie talked about the documentation.
Yep.
Holy crap. His documentation is amazing and I love it, but also AI Shell with Stephen Bucher was at the same time.
Hard choices.
And I've kind of fallen in love with AI Shell a little bit. Ooh. I've implemented it. I'm playing around with it.
Nice.
And, with the podcast, if I see a good project, it's my responsibility to share it with the world. And I have a feeling AI Shell might be that next thing for me. Not that AI is going to solve all your problems, but mostly a lot of us are already using AI in some capacity. I want people to be using the terminal. I don't want you to switch context. What if you could have an AI agent right alongside you in your terminal? I like TUIs. I like feeling like a hacker.
Yep.
When AI Shell, let's give it a run.
Give it a go.
Yes. What has been interesting to you in the past year? Any new projects you've seen that have kind of piqued your interest?
Oh, goodness me. I mean, there's some wonderful things around Spectre console, Spectre, which is just a delight.
I love that.
Yeah. Goodness me, what did I see?
Graphical stuff.
Yeah, there's been some graphical stuff. There's been some stuff around classes.
Oh, yeah.
There was a great talk this morning about career development by Maria.
Yes. I wanted to go to that one, but I did not.
That was a delight.
She's a delight, to be honest. She's amazing.
Yeah, it gives you a lot of good questions to ask yourself about where you are, what you're trying to do. Honestly, what you're trying to do is so important, even compared to what you are doing,
Yes.
which is something I don't often ask myself. So, what am I doing?
What am I doing? Yeah, hopefully the right things, but yeah, having that kind of bigger picture and thinking of the future and how where you're going can lead to where you want to go. And for some people, they may not know where they want to go. And sometimes that's okay to be in that kind of lull period of you're just trying to be a little bit better at your job than yesterday.
Yeah.
But I think eventually, we kind of reach a certain point where we're quite fluent and a lot of us love challenges. So
Absolutely. Yeah.
eventually that presents itself.
And she had a very nice methodology for getting from, where you are to various stepping stones to your theoretical North Star kind of goal, which I thought was very nice. Something I should definitely consider.
I need to consider that as well. I need to find a new North Star, whatever that is, because I have some things I'm kind of hammering away at and enjoy the work I'm doing, but what's 5 years from now going to look like?
I've always been terrible at that question.
It's tough.
Yeah.
It's tough, especially, if you're happy. And to be honest, I'm kind of I don't know if infatuated is the right word, but I just love the community that we have.
So true.
And just being able to live inside of it and go to conferences like this and hang out with people like you and see you grow year over year and see other people start from a, beginning space and kind of keep growing. That is so empowering to me that I don't know if I'm ready to move on from this type of thing yet.
Yeah. It's a hard question to answer, for sure.
Indeed it is.
How about you? I'm sure you've said many times over the last couple of hours, days, what awesome sessions you've seen, but let me ask you now, what have you seen that you've enjoyed?
I mean, a lot of things you said. Spectre console.
Oh, yeah.
I'm a huge fan. That was one, so before my future one, I think is going to be AI Shell. But before that, I saw Spectre console and I was like, holy crap, this project is amazing. I need some really smart people with some good use cases to start using it. And then so in his talk today, he actually showed a few examples of some people who I don't know if I actually directly introduced them to it, but some people who may have been influenced by me ranting about it a lot.
Wow.
Did some cool projects that he was able to show off, which was freaking awesome, including Jeff Hicks, the PS Podcast module that he put together, which is just the fact that you can have graphics inside PowerShell is...
It's a beautiful thing.
Where are we?
I mean,
do you remember the days it was just text, it was just boring stuff, and now we're in the space where you can do almost anything.
Yeah.
Yeah, the tool set's come such a long way. When did you get started in PowerShell?
I guess that would have been a solid 10 to 12 years ago, so what are we talking there?
Wow.
Can that be right?
I think so, yeah. It's created in 2006.
Yeah, then, okay. I came mildly late to the party, but I wasn't, obscenely. I guess that would have been around... I wrote some scripts before then, but I don't think I ever really tangled with it until I got into administration in a big way.
Yeah.
So that probably would have been around there. Yeah.
And in that time, PowerShell's come a long way.
Sure.
If you were to pick one kind of standout thing, maybe VS Code, maybe the graphical stuff, maybe the tooling that we have, what has been the biggest improvement to your workflow over the past, I don't know, however long?
Can I say remoting?
Yes, you absolutely can.
Fantastic. Then
Yes.
I'll go with that. Because, that's such a powerful thing, especially when you're trying to administer lots of different machines.
Yes.
Whatever they may be. It's fantastic. If you're trying to develop, if you're trying to just manage or if you're trying to use machines, that's been a fantastic thing.
Yeah, absolutely. And if there's some people who are listening who've never used remoting. So there's things like invoke command. You can send a command to a computer, or you could create a session, but you can also enter a session where you can interactively run code in sort of like basically the remote machine is what you're typing into kind of thing.
Absolutely. And there's some serialization issues potentially, but that's something you'll only really see if you're getting deep into the weeds.
You can get a ton of value with never seeing any of that. Yeah,
for sure. And it's just so powerful. And you can do these days, especially with going back to VS Code, you can remote into a session on another machine. This is mainly SSH, I guess. So maybe never mind this one.
That's a good one. I like that.
But there's so much you can do, up to and including creating a PS remote session that you can then copy items to and from. And it's joyfully easy in comparison to some other tools.
Yeah. Once I guess for me, whenever I think of the progression, would be like, all right, you run commands on your machine, maybe it's a test VM, whatever the case may be. You find some stuff that works.
Yep.
Eventually you learn about looping, and then you can kind of go through looping through a list and this and that, or whatever the case may be, and you're able to force multiply what you can already do with PowerShell in a pretty substantial way.
Absolutely. I think I wrote... I started out with some deployment scripts for some environments that I was trying to use, wrote some things to remote into a local VM that I could then use to copy across things that had changed between the current session and the remote session, and then deploy it onto that machine, see if it worked, run the tests, and then that developed into a GitHub Actions pipeline where I would deploy a VM into Azure. And so now we've got testing for the whole team. Any change that comes out can be tested 6 ways from Sunday by different OSs, different versions of Windows, and it's fantastic. And it all comes from remoting at the end of the day.
Yep, remoting is a big one. Definitely look into it if you haven't yet, and know that there is a way to take what you're doing and multiply it across your fleet or whatever kind of situation you have. I want to go back to our session because I think we did a really good job whenever the projector went down, but there was one thing that we wanted to cover that we didn't pull up from memory at the time.
Ooh.
Do you remember? I know what it was, so no pressure if you don't remember. Do you remember the one thing we wanted to talk about? default parameter values.
Did we not cover? Oh,
we didn't. No, so there's this variable called PS default parameter values, and it's how you set the default parameter values. So you don't have to type in no type information if you're using import CSV or export CSV on 5.1.
If that's your preference, you can just set it, forget it. No worries.
Exactly. Yeah, and that's kind of a huge thing because the less keystrokes you type, the less times you have to get out of your terminal, the better things are going to be. So
yeah. Plus, removing human error.
Removing human error is a huge part, and because we are humans and we are going to make errors.
Fun errors.
Guaranteed. You're not a human if you're not making errors. Or maybe you're not doing enough if you're not making errors. Errors are how we learn a lot of times. But yeah, I wanted to come full circle with that and let people know about that. And if you saw our session and you heard about it now, hey, I'd love to hear from you. That'd be a small world kind of thing. But yeah, check out PS default parameter values. I'm going to put you on the spot. What's a cool PowerShell module people should check out? We can open it up. Any kind of tip, maybe it's a command, maybe it's a parameter people don't use.
I feel like I failed in naming a single module. I'd say Module Builder is one of my, I mean, it's the basis for a lot of my modules.
Yeah.
But that's cheating in a way.
How so?
It's a little bit meta, I don't know.
It's a tool.
I was going to say Module Fast, but that's not strictly a module, as I understand it.
Yeah. It's like you can initialize it and use it to kickstart things, get your initial modules on there. What is Module Builder, though?
So Module Builder is essentially a module designed for building modules.
Okay. Who's it by, though?
That's by Joel Bennett.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Okay, I have heard of that. There's a handful in that space. But it sounds like you've had some good success with Module Builder.
Absolutely. I mean, I was introduced to it, and it's served me well. I think Gail Collis also uses it for Sampler.
Sampler, yeah.
Which is, so it's fairly widely used. I think it was actually created initially at a PS Summit a few years ago, I guess. Maybe, I'll just say a few years ago, because goodness me, time
might
flies.
Be more than that, yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, it was essentially developed on the hallway track, and has done well ever since. Although there's obviously dozens of different ways to build modules.
Jekyll knows his stuff, though.
He does.
He's able to type things quite quickly and make magic. He has such an understanding of best practice, and I think he's kind of helped define a lot of the best practices.
For sure.
If I recall correctly, and we're sitting at a bar outside that's currently, it's not even a bar, we're at a wet table. But if memory serves, I believe he also did some work on the PowerShell practice and style guide for like the best practices.
That is under the PoshCode repository, and PoshCode is Jekyll's.
Okay. Look at me.
But-
Sometimes I'm getting older, my memory sucks. Other times I remember random things and I'm like, haha, you still got it. You still got it, sir.
Yep.
But awesome. Well, James, it's been a pleasure to talk to you. Very pleased that our paths have crossed. We've been able to become friends over the years, and I look forward to, one of the most exciting things to me about this career and this community is that it's not like it's going to be the last time we see each other, last time we're communicating. I look forward to 5 years from now, having a drink with you, having a chat. And
having a nice day.
Yeah, for sure. We've had some good meals together, and I think last night we went to the pool place, which was amazing. Great time there.
Yep.
I might go there tomorrow night, maybe if you want to tag along. We'll see what happens.
See how it goes.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much.
Thank
you everybody out there for listening. Leave us a 5-star review, Apple Podcast review, like, comment, subscribe, and just have a good day. And use PowerShell. And if you have questions, please don't just suffer in silence. Reach out for help. There's communities. Check out the PowerShell Discord, aka.ms/PS Discord. Or, if you want to tap into more of something where I'm spending a little bit more time, that's the PDQ Discord, discord.gg/PDQ. Check out the PowerShell scripting channel. Check out PowerShell Wednesdays every single Wednesday. James, tomorrow night I'm hosting a user group at 8 p.m. This time.
Which 8 p.m.? Okay, yeah.
Yes, it's 2 p.m. back home. But yeah, PowerShell Wednesdays. On the podcast, I talk a lot about projects, but I don't teach you how to use PowerShell, right? Like we don't share screen or anything like that usually.
I mean, I've only been on the one.
Yes.
Yes.
But yeah, PowerShell Wednesdays are more of a chance to teach people how to PowerShell. Well, thank you so much for joining me, and until next time, my good friend.
Have a great day.
The Bar Sessions. Could I get another one over here, please?
We are back with another bar session. My good friend, Emanuel Palm. Did I say your name right?
Yeah.
Perfect. And I like your last name because I'm from Florida, so we got palm trees.
Awesome.
So
yeah.
Kind of came across the world to experience that. But you actually, you're about to head out because you have a talk tomorrow morning, Wednesday morning, right?
Yeah, Wednesday morning, 10 a.m.
And 10 a.m. is actually the first session because they're hosting the party tonight, so they're starting it a little bit later tomorrow so we can all rest. Hope that's good for you so you can get a little bit of extra prep time.
Yeah, I hope so.
Deal with the nerves
Just,
or whatever.
Double check the technical stuff before the session tomorrow and get some demo time in, yeah.
Yep. And you're doing a deep dive tomorrow, right?
Deep dive on GitHub apps and GitHub Actions to try up some cross-repository automation. And yeah, we'll see more tomorrow, but the idea is that when you have a organization or a scenario where you need to automate some stuff across repos in GitHub, it's really kind of tricky to do that from one repo because you don't have the permissions. So that's kind of one of the situations that we can have a look at.
Now, you said, I know GitHub Actions, and GitHub Actions are actions you can take when certain things are done on a repository, sort of like a way to run code that does things in your repository. I've never used a GitHub app. If I had to guess, and tell me if I'm wrong, so GitHub app, you're talking about multiple repositories. I'm guessing an app is something you register in some way that gives it permissions, or what is a GitHub app?
Yeah, so it's, if you're familiar with Entra or any other modern platform like that, I suppose, you will have a similar thing to an app registration.
Right.
So a GitHub app is a way for me to either enable a flow for a user, like log in with GitHub, and then it can do stuff with your repos or as you for certain things. Or it can act independently, which will allow you to do some of the more fun stuff, like when a certain action happens in my repo, I can enable this app to do stuff in other repos as well.
Okay. And so that's a very interesting subject. Why have you encountered this? Like, what's your day job? Give me a little bit of background on you.
Yeah. How far do you want to go?
Not too far.
Not too far.
But I know you've been coming here for 4 years as a speaker.
Yeah.
You've been coming to PowerShell Conference Europe before that?
No, I intended to go in 2020, but then the pandemic happened. So I signed up as a speaker instead at 2022, and was happy to be accepted. And then I've been coming back every year. And yeah, I've been using PowerShell for, I think, 8-9 years now.
Nice.
Started by having some C# in my back pocket from studying. And I came into IT with some intention to start automating things when I encountered PowerShell. And I thought, this seems familiar, being .NET and all. So that was very fun, even using it for stuff like automating printer installation, stuff like that in IT job. And then I worked my way through that to Azure, where I work today, which is not so much printers at all, but more cloud infrastructure, automating CI/CD pipelines, everything in between.
So with your job now, so you're a consultant.
Yeah.
I've talked to quite a few consultants. A lot of consultants are here. But so I'm going to guess maybe you're doing some infrastructure as code or things like that, and that's why you're having repositories?
Yeah.
And that's where kind of GitHub Actions and apps kind of plays into things?
Yeah, I would say so. So I work as a consultant, as you say, a cloud specialist is my role. Focusing on Azure and everything from security to infrastructure as code, with a love for code in general. So I come across all of these like pipelines and CI/CD stuff. And most of my hobby projects are PowerShell modules written in C#. So I try to automate as much as possible there as well, which I do in GitHub. So
what kind of projects are we doing?
I have a couple of modules out there on the gallery. So one is AC Auth, which is an authentication module for Azure and neighboring services. And then another one called AC Bobby Tables.
Little Bobby tables.
Yeah, little Bobby tables for working with storage tables in Azure.
Cool.
As well as I'm one of the maintainers of the unofficial Bicep module, if you're working with the Bicep language, which has a few million downloads.
Wow.
Which is another one of our projects, also built in C# for PowerShell.
Nice. And I imagine there's a lot of kind of GitHub Actions that you can utilize in that as well.
Yeah, for sure.
Those more public repositories. So CI/CD pipelines, for me, my brain loves them.
Yeah.
Because it's like a system and things get kicked off and you can run code and connect things and check on statuses and run tests.
And it's all event driven, so it's lovely.
Yes. And it's very fun. Now, here's a question. What is the most creative use or weird use you've seen for a GitHub action?
A weird use, that's a good question. We do some fun stuff internally for documentation where we have automated all. So we're a fairly new company. We started last year, and we decided to be very code forward. So we do everything that we can from Markdown, from GitHub, from Git, wherever possible. Even our CEO learned Git a little bit to kind of get from the right angle. So all of our like contracts and everything are in Markdown, and then we automate them into PDFs through GitHub. So we run GitHub Actions with Pandoc, which is like a universal converter between formats. And then we have our own branding and a bunch of pipeline stuff going on there.
That is pretty unique. I did not think of that. Interesting. Do you also send emails as part of it, or you just generate them and manually send them?
No, not manually, but we automate them into PDFs, both drafts, and publish them on our internal SharePoint.
Oh, so whoever is dealing with it can, can grab
so
it.
If it's a certain person working with that customer, then they email that out. But we get the nice part of having version control, we get pull request reviews, we get all of the good stuff on the way there.
Yeah, that is quite an interesting way, because I guess if you're in the business of getting customers and sending them contracts, having that defined in a way where you can make changes over time. Oh, hey, this customer doesn't like this certain phrasing, we'll change it.
Exactly.
There's a PR you have where you can keep track of it over time and it can kind of grow with you, instead of just having it be one person's responsibility, because I don't think many people like PDFs as a source of truth.
And we don't like Word either, so trying to stay away from that is good.
Wow, impressive. So let's go back to the early days. You had some experience with C#. A lot of people I've talked to have had some dabblings with programming languages in the past.
Yeah.
But early on in PowerShell, when you got started, do you remember anything that was particularly challenging for you?
It's a good question. I remember using the PowerShell in the month of lunches quite a bit.
Yeah.
During lunches as well at work. And I had it on my desk. Took some moments to kind of scroll through, and as I was learning the early stages of PowerShell, I would say, I'm not sure if there was anything I struggled with necessarily, but I remember doing a lot of like AD automation, printer automation. I was working in a IT support client role at that point. But I mean, the thing I learned a little bit too late, I think, is that the best way to explore the language is with the language. like using get help, using get member, using those things, I learned later, and like struggled my way through a little bit at the start.
Yeah. I think it's funny. You know, sometimes we like to learn the hard way.
Yeah.
Myself too. You know, I want to just, I don't read the manual. I'll just go.
No.
But as you get more experienced, and I guess you run into some corners, you eventually realize the importance of documentation. And also when the closer it is to the code, like something like a get help, get command, get module, all that stuff, it's just a lot more empowering, and it's going to get you on the right path a lot sooner.
Oh, yeah.
So that's a good tip to share. So everyone out there, use the built-in documentation when you can, and actually read the docs. Like
They
a lot of
are
times.
good.
Oh yeah. Oh, I mean, there's a lot of people working on them.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So.
And there's so much content out there from a lot of great authors of blogs as well, where
Yep.
it's just great.
Yep. And I think what I've done sometimes is like I'll see an article and I'll just start running the code instantly, like step by step. Sometimes it can help to kind of glance through the whole page first.
Yeah, for sure. After learning what I've done since then, I would not run any code without looking at it anymore.
Yeah.
But yeah, there have been moments where you just kind of figure out that this might help me, so I'll see if it works.
I think we're living in the age of, I think there's probably the most amount of people reading code that they don't even check or understand because of AI. Like,
Considering Copilot these days,
yeah.
I think so.
And especially, I find it to be a crutch for a lot of people earlier on. Or I'm not saying you need to learn everything and never use AI, but you really need to be able to understand a language before you start running code that you don't understand in your organization, and just think that the prompt you're going to run is going to give you the exact results. It's not. I know how to phrase things and I know how to write the PowerShell, but even still, whenever I do a nice prompt, sometimes the stuff comes back, it's not going to do what you want.
No.
And that can be very frustrating to troubleshoot code that you haven't even written.
Yep.
Right?
I think it's the scenarios you encounter where you're using Copilot and you get something back and you're like, that was a reasonable prompt, it wasn't a hard question, but you still get something that's like enough off to really be bad if you ran it straight off the bat in like a production server or something.
Yep.
It's not uncommon.
Especially when you start piping things together and doing more advanced techniques. If that's being done in the script, good luck troubleshooting that if you don't have the basic fundamentals.
Yeah.
You're going to be in a very hard time, and it's going to be discouraging. So.
And the further you push Copilot as well into like those advanced techniques, the more likely it's gonna like take a misstep and do something weird.
I do love Copilot sometimes because, like, for a lot of the boring stuff, it'll totally make it so I don't have to write it.
Yeah.
But yeah, there can be diminishing returns. So if it's getting you to run PowerShell and getting you started and getting you to actually solve things that work, good. But you really need to be thinking about that bigger picture of actually learning the language and how to troubleshoot things.
Yeah, I think overall I love using Copilot. I think it's a nice productive boost.
Absolutely.
In your daily work, and it's good to get going. It's good to learn code. It's good for learning new languages, like explain this as if it was C#, like something I'm familiar with. I was doing Advent on Code, for example, with like a new language, trying Golang last year, I think it was. And it's just like, I understand enough code to understand that it's going to do what I want it to do. I don't know how to write it myself, but I can like prompt my way through day 7 or something. And it's fun, like it's a good way to learn.
Absolutely. Yeah, Advent of Code is a pretty cool way to grow. I usually find myself, it gets over my head at a certain point after so many days.
Yeah.
But still, it's a good challenge. Now, are you from Sweden? I believe you are, right?
Yeah, I am.
Nice.
I live in Stockholm.
Stockholm, okay.
Yeah.
I think that is one of the bigger cities. I think this is the third
capital,
biggest.
Yeah. So Malmö is the city where we are right now,
Yes.
which is, I think, the third top city as well. But it doesn't feel like a huge city because it's the buildings aren't as big here.
Yes.
So it feels like a large, small town in a way.
The hotel we're in is, I think, maybe the tallest, maybe the second tallest
building here.
Yeah, I believe so. It's not that big. I think it's 25 stories. So, well, awesome. It's been a pleasure. If people want to connect with you, are you on social media? Are you active? Can they just find you at conferences? Where can we find you if we want to hear more?
You can find me online. I have a blog at pipe.how, which is a PowerShell pun, kind of course. Where I write about stuff like authentication, Azure stuff, PowerShell stuff. I'm on most social media platforms at either Emanuel Palm, like my name, if you search it, or usually my tag is Palm Emanuel, so my name backwards.
Okay, awesome. And yeah, people definitely connect with him. And It's been a pleasure meeting you. I'm glad we could do this.
Yeah,
And
me
I
too.
think you were trying to run out the door, so I will let you get to that. Get ready
you for
for your
the invitation.
sessions. Yes. Yes, appreciate it, man.
Yeah.
And thank you everybody out there for listening. Like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. And just keep, plugging away at PowerShell. What we said about making sure you actually learn the fundamentals, please take that to heart. Spend the time. It's incredibly rewarding. I think everyone who I've experienced in the community, the reason we're so passionate is because once you're able to actually get fluent with PowerShell, it feels amazing. And what you can do is really good. But for me, the flow state, being able to, something like a CI/CD pipeline, your brain can geek out on these things once you are able to think kind of like a programmer or think functional programming and in that way. So there's a lot of good stuff out there. And nobody who I've talked to, me, you, nobody, is a genius. It's just one step at a time.
Yeah.
And staying consistent and doing what you can to stay on that path. So
For sure.
awesome. Well, thank you, everybody. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
The Bar Sessions. Make mine a double.
Welcome to another episode of the PowerShell Conference Europe 2025, Malmö, Sweden, Bar Sessions. I think this might be my last one for the night. It's we're getting closer to closing time. I've gotten several tonight, but I'm with my longtime friend, SK, Suresh Krishnan. You have been a fixture of me, and you're one of many people, but probably one of the closest people I've come to who've reached out from listening to the podcast.
Yeah.
We've been friends. We've had conversations on probably every social media platform that exists.
Yeah.
But what a wild turn of events that we get to meet in person now.
Yeah, it's unreal.
It really is. And you are one of those people who, a lot of us here are PowerShell nerds, but you know everybody.
I'm a people nerd.
You are. You know a lot of the people. So it's been fun to see the kind of light in your eye as you get to meet different people who are here, who you've checked out their stuff for a lot of years, probably learned from them. And recently, I think was it maybe like 6 months ago, you moved, right?
Yeah, I moved to London.
Yeah, London.
Yeah.
And you invited me. If I ever come, you're going to make me some good Indian food. And I am texting my wife about that. Hey, we need to go to London.
Yeah, you must come.
That's the beautiful thing about the community is,
Yeah.
I'm just a normal guy in Florida, whatever. But now I have all these friends all around the world. I feel very cool to have that.
Yeah.
And I think you're in the same boat now, right? You've made a lot of new friends this week.
Yeah, whole lot.
A whole lot. Who here have you met that you've wanted to meet for a long time?
You?
Sure, same.
For
Likewise,
sure.
likewise.
I think I've met some of them very long time back, but yeah.
Oh, yeah. PSConference Asia.
PSConference Asia, but there are quite a few. Matthias, Gail. I actually wanted to meet Tobias also.
Oh, yeah.
Big fan of his work. And Justin, for sure.
Justin Grody. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, there's another number of people. Oh, Jordan Borean.
Jordan Borean. Amazing.
Yeah, and WEQ, I forgot his name though.
Weck. I don't know his real name either.
Yeah, I met him, but I just call him Weck. So
Yeah. You know him
So
from the PowerShell Discord?
yeah, he's some of those people who reply all the time. So I just wanted
Yeah.
to meet him in person. So it's a real you got to meet the people behind the keyboard.
Yes. And I'm glad you mentioned Weck because
Yeah.
I gave him a shout out in another podcast. He's a little bit, maybe not the type to want to do a podcast.
Right.
But he's the type that's behind the scenes. Kind of reminds me of Chris Dent, where Chris Dent isn't really interested in doing a podcast either, which is fine. That's okay. Different strokes for different folks. But they've both done so much to help others
Yeah.
in a way that probably, maybe from their perspective, I don't know this, but maybe from their perspective, they're just going about their day. They're having fun. They're sharing stuff. But the reality is they're helping a ton of people along the way,
Yes,
which is
for
really
sure.
cool. And then getting the chance to meet them and put a face to a name is quite powerful.
Yeah, one of those people I wanted to meet, even if not for podcast, but at least in real person, because that takes a lot of commitment to basically reply every one of them in the PowerShell and doing it for so long.
For so long and being
That's-
friendly about it. Like that kind of helps set the tone for the community.
Yeah.
Are we welcoming or are we rude to newcomers?
Yeah.
If someone says, hey, can I ask a question about X, Y, and Z?
Yeah.
They will be kind in the way that they say, hey, don't ask to ask, but just ask your question and we'll help you.
Yeah.
You know, I think other communities out there, I heard someone maybe say sometimes the Linux community wasn't the most friendly.
Yeah.
So
It's
it's
not.
cool that we create like that good vibe where people feel safe to grow. And there's a lot of people at different phases of their career. Now, let's not sell you short, my friend. You are quite accomplished in the world of career. I saw your job
Yeah.
title.
Yeah, it is. I don't know if that established, but yeah, I think I've now I can say I'm settled.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, which I'm so proud of you for that, because where did you move to London from?
I moved from Singapore
Yes.
to London in about 5 months back over here. So
That's quite the move, too.
Yeah, it's everything moved. Season, timing.
Yes. The food's different.
Food's different, but in a good way now that
Yeah.
I'm glad that I moved.
Good.
I so long wanted to come to PowerShell. It only happened now because I moved. So yeah, you have to believe in the change.
Yes, yes.
So that's another aspect.
And you have skills.
I guess I have. I don't know.
Okay, it just started raining more.
Yeah.
Did you
when
notice
they say
that?
yeah, we're doing a recording. It's raining. Yeah.
It's raining, but hey, I appreciate your commitment. But you know what was really cool for me? So you shared you're from India and you speak a language. Is it called Tamil?
Yeah.
So
Tamil,
that's Tamil. And language is a big part of culture. And you were sharing to me about how it's important to you to keep that language going on.
Yes.
And guess what? Guess who we met? I guess you can tell them. What interaction did we have?
I have met another person, Pradeep, right? And I also met another person now.
Really?
So in the same language, we speak the same language.
Wow.
So yeah, in a way, I think PowerShell is another language.
It is.
We all came here because of that language.
Yes.
So if that's one thing that shows language is the unifying factor.
That is a great perspective. I didn't think of that.
Among all of the different different perspective, right?
Yeah.
Because we all speak a somewhat similar language.
Yes.
And that's connection is more than because some of those things comes from when you actually talk in the same language.
Yeah.
You can express in a different language. So in that sense, PowerShell is also, I would say, my third language now. After my mother tongue and English, and now, because that, of course, brought my career change, and now a lot of new friends.
Yeah, which
A
is
lot of new people, which is always fascinating.
that is such an interesting perspective. Language bringing people together, and PowerShell certainly is a language, so you have to practice it to get fluent with it.
Yeah.
But also, it can really connect you with people all across the world who maybe you don't share a lot in terms of like where you grew up or your cultural kind of thing, but you have a lot in common in terms of what drives you.
Yeah, it opens up that initial, what do I call as icebreaker.
Yes, it really is.
So,
And so many people here love it. Now, I think you were telling me you're big into identity and access management.
I am, because that's what I do now.
Yeah.
Pretty much. IAM and Entra is my thing now.
Yeah.
Because I've moved from infrastructure to Active Directory and AD. Now I am into identity security. So pretty much that, and a bit of Google side as well. So,
Yeah. So, what have you learned here? Has there been anything? So, you're pretty well versed in a lot of things, and you're a geek for the stuff. So, you've consumed a lot of blogs and technology and podcasts. But is there anything here that you've experienced where it's like, oh, I need to try that when I get back to work?
There are a few for now. There is one with the PowerShell classes that I have learned. I always afraid of PowerShell classes, but I don't know why.
I think many people are afraid of classes because they're different. You don't need them a lot of times.
So, but after the session, I thought to myself, I might give it a try. And another one with Spectre Console. I don't know whether it might be work related, but it looks cool.
Yes.
So just for that one. And I think another one would be the Entra authentication one that I have that Fred had.
Fred.
Which I am doing it, but there is some more things I've learned from that session, which was not quite clear initially to me, but I think his session made it a little more clarity, because some things there's an assumption, and then when these people basically break it down, as you always say that there's no magic.
There's no magic.
A little more of explanation needed from people who have done it multiple times, and basically you have to break it down to that level. So I mean, that's the whole aspect that I'd say I would learn from here, is that when people at that kind of a level trying to break it down,
Yeah.
And then you will see that real picture of what is what, and then it gets much more clarity. And then I also have this thing, when you understand at a deeper level to some extent, then you will have a confidence to answer questions or something.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so that's
Oh man, it's getting cold.
yeah.
The rain. I don't know how the rain is actually hitting us because we're sort of under a covering outside.
Yeah, this is a special podcast in rain, probably.
Yes. I hope my equipment survives, but we should be good.
Yeah.
And I want to say I'm so glad you made it, because I think a couple weeks ago you told me your visa still wasn't approved.
Yeah, that was scary. Yeah. I don't know. It's very weird that it took them so long, but yeah, managed to make it. I was actually happy for you. Said when you were,
Right.
you initially said I'm doubtful, but then you said like, to be honest, I don't know many people here, so, and we hit it off. I don't know.
We've hit
It's
it
very
off.
weird.
You've been probably my best friend at this conference. I think we spent the most time together
This
here,
time together, yeah,
connecting and having
yeah,
fun and learning stuff.
I have the believe in the community stuff. So, yeah, I think probably in that light, we both connected, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you've listened to the podcast a lot.
Oh, I'm big time. Can I say that I'm a #1 fan?
You might be. You might be.
I've re-listened to it, not just listening. It some
You
of
know
this,
it more
like,
than I do. You know the episodes and what we talked about more than I do, to be honest.
yeah, because it helps to. It's a lot of really good information in there. So, and that's being a podcast. You just can keep listening it.
Yep.
And then you can get the good stuff. And it works out basically. I try to implement it and see how does it working out.
Yeah.
And most of the time it works really well. So, yeah, that's one way to consume, not just books.
Yeah. You can listen
This
when you're going to work, when you're cleaning the kitchen, whatever you got going on, listen to the podcast.
Yeah, because you learn from other people's experience, right? I mean,
Mistakes.
experience, and all of it. I mean, yeah, I mean, there's not a lot of ways to you basically consume, and this is all real world talks.
Yep.
Not just from any book talks or something, which would be different than people basically sharing their experience, and you can really relate to that. That is something. And thanks for doing that, actually, on a consistent basis.
Yeah.
On behalf of the PowerShell community people.
Thank you. Yeah, it's been really good to meet the listeners, because, you know, I'm talking every week. So people, if you're listening, and I've met a few people I'd never seen before, never heard of them, and they've listened to every episode, and they said like, hey, and I said, hey, thank you for telling me that. I really love putting, like, knowing who I'm talking to whenever I create episodes and think about how they're going to go and find the speakers.
Yeah.
But I want to ask you a question. What is something you learned from the PowerShell podcast that's not necessarily PowerShell related?
There are a couple. One, on a podcast level, it's more of like not only technical, but it's more of from the soft skill side.
Yeah.
How one would approach a problem, and how they solving the problem, either on a small scale or a bigger scale. And there are other episodes. Basically, I listen, and then I think one from Glenn Sarti. Basically, he talks about the camp approach, coach. I forgot the other norms, but it was really good. That one really changed the view. Again, I strongly believe in having perspective, because I really wanted to challenge my perspective time to time.
Yeah.
And some of those episodes basically change the perspective.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that really helps, because it's not just technology, right? It's all people who's using technology. So,
absolutely.
Yeah. So it's over the years, it has been changed a lot. So, yeah. Just name a few. Yeah. And of course, I miss Jordan. Just to tell him.
Yes. Shout out Jordan.
Yeah, Jordan. Yeah. So
also, shout out to your wife for watching the kids while you're here. Shout out to my wife, same thing.
Yep.
If your wife listens, tell her SK is amazing. And you know what? The first time I saw you, my first thought was,
yeah.
holy crap, this guy's got style. Are you into style? I mean, really, your outfit was on point. The shoes, the sweater thing you had going on, man.
I didn't even know. Thank
didn't
you.
even know, you're just living it. I guess the London maybe is rubbing off.
Maybe.
And you got the style now, but
Okay.
man.
Great. Glad to know then, bro.
Man, whenever I saw you, I was like, yes, SK. Oh my gosh, it felt like a homecoming because I feel like I've known you. Well, I have known you for so long, but it's interesting when a lot of my interactions with people are remote. Obviously, at conferences it's different, but
Right.
you know, it feels like, and I have seen you like at PowerShell Wednesdays and here and there. You'll hop on camera and we'll have a chat, but there's something different about being in person. And at a conference like this, where you're day after day, right, morning to night. I've seen you. We've hung out for hours today, and I've seen you probably 10 or 15 times just here and there. Like, hey, how you doing? Hey, I'll see you.
Yeah.
There's something special about that.
I think it's at the end of it, it's all still like people connection, right? I believe in that more than technology. I mean, at least maybe over the years now. I was technology all the time in my earlies, and then I listened to another podcast because this is where my podcast love came from. Another guy from podcast basically mentioned, I'm going to tell you a little story if that's okay with you.
Yeah.
So this was, I guess, his name is Kelsey Hightower. So in the podcast, he mentioned about this, right? So he was working on a financial sector, something similar to mine, and there was an incident outage in US. So basically, you have welfare cards for people who basically unable to have their spending. It's a government given card.
Yeah.
So they had an outage wherein in their card is basically where they have that balance. So it basically that card has some sort of an outage on that side, and these guys are trying to fix it. I think they were taking some time. Then the manager came inside of the war room and then asked these engineers like, what you guys are doing it, and they all said like we used to say that we're still working on it, on fixing it. Then the manager told them that now listen, imagine that you're a father of two. You went to the supermarket, you bought your stuff, and now you're in the queue, and you're gonna pay using that card. And now that card is not working, and that's the only card you have, and you have people waiting behind, and you don't have any other card to pay, and you have your kids next to you.
Yeah.
Just imagine for 2 seconds to being in that mode, and now you start working.
Yeah.
And now you will feel the difference when you try to fix it.
Yes.
And that's what it hits me. When I connect to the people side of a problem, then I can look into a different way. Because last time I would usually complain about people raising tickets to me, not being very abbreviated about like why the problem. I was always cursing sometime about why these guys are even doesn't know the basics of it.
Yes.
And in one podcast, one line, everything was mashed. The entire perspective of looking the problem changed from a technical problem to an empathetically looking at the problem.
Yeah.
And from that time onwards, I look at every problem that comes to me in that lens and then I actually witnessed over the years, it not only brought me joy, but entire looking the problem has been changed, and then I was able to help it faster, and I was able to do that faster, and then that is something happened again. That's why I'm very proponent of podcast listening, and especially with these kind of things. Then you never know what is that hits you, and then it can change. For me, just one line changed the entirety of my looking at my way of looking at.
Yeah.
And then every time I look at a problem, then I immediately connect to that one, and then I feel like more empathetic towards the problem. Then I don't see as a problem, I see it's different lens.
Yes.
And then you won't get tensed, you will see a different light, and everything becomes nice. Yeah, that's it. Nice. Sorry if it's long.
No, that's perfect. Hey, and you know what? I'm glad it's long because I wanted to give a good chance for us to have a chat. And you know, share that, and we can listen to this in the years to come. And hopefully, I get to see you in the next couple of years. Maybe next year.
All right.
Who knows? We'll see.
Yeah. Cheers.
Cheers, man.
Yeah.
And thank you everybody out there for listening. Thank you, SK, for joining me. I mean, you know we're going to talk soon anyways, so.
Thank you for having me, Andrew. It's been nice.
Yes,
Thank
sir.
you. Cheers.
Yeah, give us a 5-star review, like, comment, subscribe. PDQ Discord, discord.gg/PDQ. Join us for PowerShell Wednesdays. All right, take care, everybody. We're going to go walk to the hotel and go to sleep, so.
This is the PowerShell Podcast.
Most of you know the PowerShell Podcast is sponsored and made possible by PDQ. I've had questions from listeners asking, what's PDQ and what do you do? Well, we help IT teams automate endpoint management. PDQ Connect is our cloud-based tool for real-time software deployment, patching, scripting, remote access, and vulnerability management. It's fast, flexible, and built for people who just want things to work. If you want to see it in action, head to pdq.com/podcast and check out our interactive demo. No signups, no emails, no credit card, just a fast and easy way to explore how it works. That's pdq.com/podcast. Automated endpoint management that doesn't slow you down.
Thanks for listening to the PowerShell Podcast. The PowerShell Podcast is a PDQ production, making device management simple, secure, and pretty damn quick.